All right, let's jump right in. We're going to break down a philosophy that's, well, it's not just about trying harder. No. This is a totally radical framework for achieving a level of success most people would say is just impossible. We're talking about Grant Cardone's 10x rule. And trust me, it's designed to completely flip your approach to setting goals and, more importantly, taking action.
And right away, he hits you with this idea that just turns everything you've been taught on its head. Think about it. We're all raised to avoid criticism, right? Don't rock the boat. But Cardone argues that, no, criticism isn't something you should fear. It's actually a sign, a signal that you're finally making enough noise for people to notice. It's proof that you're taking massive, massive action.
So here's the game plan for today. We're going to start with what he calls the average trap, and we'll get into 4 super common mistakes people make. From there, we'll define what the 10x rule actually is, look at the 4 degrees of action, talk about domination versus competition, love that, and finish up with why success is your ultimate duty. Sound good? Let's do it.
Okay, first things first, we have to identify the real enemy of success. And you know what? According to Cardone, it isn't some huge, spectacular failure. It's being average. He says the biggest threat to your potential isn't aiming high and missing, it's aiming for good enough and hitting it right on the nose.
This right here says it all. You know, taking normal action, following the herd, it feels safe, doesn't it? It feels like what you're supposed to do. But that path is a trap. Why? Because the normal amount of effort doesn't prepare you for reality. It doesn't factor in problems or new competition or just plain bad luck. Aiming for average is basically planning to fail because it assumes a perfect world that just doesn't exist.
So, if being average is the trap, what are the actual missteps that lead us right into it? Well, Cardone breaks it down into 4 fundamental mistakes pretty much everyone makes when they're trying to get ahead.
Okay, so number 1, we set goals that are just kind of weak. They don't really light a fire under us. Number 2, we completely underestimate how much work it's actually going to take. You know, Cardone talks about starting his first business and thinking it would take 3 months to make what he used to. It took 3 years. That's a huge difference. Third, we get stuck trying to compete with everyone. And fourth, we just aren't prepared for how many things are going to go wrong along the way.
All right, we've laid out the problem, we've seen the mistakes, so now for the good part. Let's talk about the solution. This is the heart of the whole philosophy, and honestly, it really is a total game changer.
So the big question is, how do you actually break out of this small thinking trap? How do you build a system for yourself that's so robust it can just power through any obstacle? The answer is just 2 words. And here it is, the 10x rule. It's got 2 simple but incredibly powerful parts. Part 1, you set targets that are 10 times bigger than what you think you want. Part 2, you take 10 times the action you think you need to take. It's basically a commitment to operate at a scale that looks, frankly, a little insane to most people.
And this is so crucial. Your goals have to be absolutely massive. They need to be so big that they pull you through all the tough stuff. Think about it. If your goal is small, any little problem feels like a disaster. But if your goal is to own, say, 5,000 apartments like Cardone wanted, a problem with 1 or 2 is just a Tuesday. Huge goals create the motivation you need.
And this is the engine that makes it all go. The goals are where you're headed, but 10x action is how you get there. We're talking 10 times the phone calls, 10 times the meetings, 10 times the effort. It's about operating at a pace that makes everyone else look like they're standing still. You create your own momentum.
Now, to really get what massive action means, it's super helpful to look at what it's not. Cardone says all of our efforts fall into one of 4 categories. As I go through these, just think to yourself, where do I usually operate?
First up, the easiest one to understand, doing nothing. This is just giving up. Total passivity. You've decided your goals are out of reach, so why bother?
The second level is retreating. And you could argue this is even worse. You're not just doing nothing, you're actively moving in the wrong direction. You're taking steps away from your goals, usually because you're scared of what might happen if you try.
And here we are again, the most dangerous place to be, taking normal action. This is the default setting for most of society. It's doing just enough to blend in, to be average. And because everyone else is doing it, it feels right. But it guarantees you'll get average results every single time.
And finally, we have the only level that actually creates success, taking massive action. This is the 10x zone. Cardone says this is our natural state. I mean, look at a little kid. They're always going 100 miles an hour. When you're at this level, guess what? You're going to create new problems. You're going to get criticism. And that is how you know you are finally on the right track. Okay, so if you're going to operate at a 10x level, you need a serious mindset shift. It's time to stop looking over your shoulder at what everyone else is doing. Your goal is no longer to compete in your field. Your new goal is to completely dominate it.
This lays out the difference perfectly. See, competition is just trying to be a little bit better than the next guy. Domination is changing the whole game. Competitors copy. Dominators create. Competitors react. Dominators set the pace. Just think about a company like Apple. They didn't set out to build a slightly better phone. They created a whole new category that they could own. That's the domination mindset.
And now we come to what I think is the real heart of the 10x rule. This isn't just some clever business strategy. For Cardone, the pursuit of success is actually a moral issue.
So get this, the idea is that failing to go after your full potential isn't just a shame, it's basically unethical. It's a disservice to yourself, your family, and what you're capable of. Cardone talks about being 20 years old, with no purpose, and feeling like he was literally dying. He realized that living a small, average life was a kind of slow death, and that going all in on success was a commitment to truly living.
And that's the bottom line. This is the final takeaway. It's not a wish, it's not a nice to have, it is your duty, your obligation to show up, to produce, and to contribute at the absolute highest level you can.
Which brings us to the last, and maybe the most important question of all. And this one's for you. Take a hard look at the goals you have right now. Are they really the best you can do? Or are they just what you think is realistic? So here's the challenge. Take a goal, multiply it by 10, and then ask yourself, what would I have to do today to start moving toward that?